What memories do you have of Grandpa Marmer working at Farmall?
Oh, wow.
Do you have any memories of what that was like, or
Well, I know I peeked in there one time. We used to when we were going to Augustana. See, we did all this with just one car.
so this would have been about 1955,
Oh, maybe 53,
53?
maybe 53. And we would take Dad to work, and he was always running late. We had about 2 seconds to get to his work. And then my memories of Grandpa or my dad running was he put his lunchbox under his armpit and take off running down the railroad tracks to the back door where you could get into his department real fast. And luckily my uncle was his supervisor. My mom's brother was his supervisor, and he would get him punched in there so he wasn't late every morning.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Who was the supervisor? Your mom's
Uncle Larry.
Uncle Larry?
Yeah. And yeah. Because my dad was always late. I mean, he would leave like 3 minutes before he was supposed to be someplace. So when Dad and I got married, we would have Uncle Herb or Grandpa Herb coming and my dad coming for supper because they were both single men at that time. And we would tell my dad a half hour early, and we'd tell Grandpa Herb a half hour late so that we could eat at 7 o'clock, which was in between the two. And they would get there on time. Because Grandpa Herb was always early and my dad was always late. So that's my memories of my dad. Was always running late.
Yeah.
And Grandpa Herb was always early.
So you said something about peeking in work at Farmall.
Well, when Donna and I were going to Augustana, we only had the one car, so we would take him to work.
In Corky.
And then this was before we even had Corky, which was our 1938 Studebaker. This was before that, so we only had one car. We'd take Dad to work, and then we'd see Dad running down the railroad tracks with he just tuck his lunch pail under his armpit, and boy, he took off running like that. And then Uncle Larry had him punched in so he wasn't like 5 or 10 minutes late every morning. And then we would go to Augustana, and we went down into the library basement, and we'd either do the homework that was still left, or we'd just sleep on the there were like wooden church benches down in the basement in the bathroom. It was a big bathroom, and we'd lay down on those and sleep for a while.
Huh.
So what?
So when he worked at Farmall,
Yeah.
did he work at like, when you say he was running down the railroad tracks, was that like at the northwest corner of the building?
Well, this was.
You say you had to go
in the back. We always turned back in to the Farmall plant, and that was like the back door. We didn't go through the main place where you had to check in
And that's the one that little tunnel underneath the railroad track, right?
No, this was back behind the plant. The tunnel was at.
That's the main check-in point that you're talking about, though, right?
No.
No?
No, that's where Grandpa Herb went to work.
Oh, okay.
Because he worked on the other side of the factory.
All right.
Yeah, and my dad worked in the copper plating, which is really hard on your lungs.
Right.
and Grandpa Herb worked on the line where the things would come through past you, and you had to put in whatever you put in the tractor.
Right.
So there were two different jobs.
So this would have been the Moline plant.
Rock Island plant.
Rock Island plant?
Yeah.
So that would be right on the...
On the border of Moline and Rock Island.
Right. Okay.
Yes. Really the farthest north that you could go.
Right.
I don't know what avenue that would be. Probably be maybe First Avenue, maybe.
Yeah.
Or Second
It
Avenue.
was right on the border.
Yeah.
So what is that? What's the avenue that you do the right turn? You go across the railroad tracks and you do that right turn?
I don't know what a right turn would be. From which way are we coming?
From coming down the hill.
Oh, down
When you're coming
the
up.
hill.
Yeah, down the Moline Hill. I think it's Moline. Isn't the Farmall plant like half in Rock Island and half in Moline?
No, it's all in Rock Island.
Yeah.
It's all
I
in
can't
Rock
think of what
Island.
street that is. No, that'd be 45th Street. Or 46th. Something like that. So yeah, when you
You're talking.
we're right where the main entrance
I know
for the
where you mean.
and that right turn there.
Goes
So where was Grandpa working in relation to that? All the way in the back?
he was to the back of the plant, on
Right.
the north side of the plant.
Right. That
And,
back or the west back or the east back? If the
Well, it'd be the north side
right.
of the plant, and we would be coming down, heading west,
Right.
and then we would turn on, I don't know what street it was, but we'd go to the back of the plant, which was turn north.
Before you really got to the main plant, then you just turn back and go up.
Just right at the main. We didn't go through that main gate, but we
Okay.
turned right back.
All right.
Uh,
So you
yeah.
would drop him off on the northeast back end, and there's railroad tracks back there.
North, not the northeast, just the northwest.
Well, then you'd go all the way around by the railroad station.
We went over the railroad tracks to get to the back of the plant.
Really?
No, we were all the way already. The south side of the plant was right along the tracks. And we would turn at the main gate.
You would turn right or left?
We'd turn to the right, which would be north.
Right.
And we'd go all the way back to the rear of the plant.
All right.
And then we would make a left or west,
Right.
back to as far as we could go. And then Dad would leap out of the car and he'd tuck his lunch pail under his armpit and run like a rabbit, hopping over all the ties to get to the back door, where he went in close to where you punch in. And Uncle Larry was always standing there, had him already punched in, and then he'd go to his department. It was sad. It was sad but funny.
Yeah.
And then we would take off and go to Augustana, where we were waiting till it was class time, and that's when we did any leftover homework or just lay down on the old wooden benches there, like an old church pew, and sleep and put our heads on our books and take an hour nap or something.
Right.
Yeah, that was kind of our morning routine.
Huh.
And then we ended up, Dad bought Uncle Larry's old 38 Studebaker for $100, and I mean that was old then. And it had a hole in the floor. I mean, he had driven that for so many years, and it was like a robin's egg blue color, and we called it Corky. And the floorboard on the passenger side had a hole in it, and Dad had put a piece of wood over the hole so too much of the water or melted snow wouldn't come in on your feet. But since Donna was the oldest one, she got to drive, and I got to deal with the mud and the splashing coming up from that piece of wood. And by the time I got to Augustana, I had to wash my legs clear up to the knees because we all wore skirts, and they would be my legs would all be muddy. So it was quite an